Hey everyone, I just wanted to do a quick little update on the very first L236 super white Pleco spawn that I had back on November 30th. And I wanted to do an update because this spawn has been interesting for a couple of reasons. One, it was the biggest Hype and Sister spawn I've ever had. At the time of pulling the cave back in early December, I counted 36 little wigglers. That blows out of the water any other spawn I've ever had from my Hype and Sistress, my L333s, my L173s, any of them. So anyway, when I pulled the cave and poured out the wigglers into one of those little floating guppy breeder boxes that I always use to hold fry, I counted 36 little fry, and I kept that little floating breeder box inside the tank where they were born with the parents for the first 2 months or so while I was setting up that lowboy aquarium that you might have seen me do in another video. I set that lowboy aquarium up as a grow out tank for all of my Hype and Sistress fry. I haven't actually done a dedicated video on that lowboy tank, so I probably should, but that's my dedicated grow out tank for all my Hype and Sistress fry. So when these guys were about 2 months old, I moved them to the lowboy, but I moved them inside a Zis Aqua breeder box in the lowboy because the lowboy has a bunch of L173 growing out in it, and I didn't want to confuse the L173 with the L236. Now, don't get me wrong, the body shapes are a little different, and obviously the L236 super whites have way more white than the average L173. But every now and then, I get one L173 that has more white than black and could maybe be passed off as an L236. I mean, they are a bit slender, a bit more slender, I've found, at that age than the L236. The L236 just seemed bulkier, but I just didn't want to ever risk confusing the two, so I've been keeping the L236 super white spawn kind of separated in its own Zis Aqua breeder box, and this is where they've been ever since. All the ones you see in here are from that first spawn. Now, this spawn was interesting for two reasons. One, it was the biggest Hype and Sister spawn I've ever had. 36 little wigglers is what I counted when I had initially pulled the cave. And I had suspected maybe it was a double spawn, maybe two females went in, but I was never able to confirm that. I did have some pretty big females in there, so it honestly could have just been one very big adult female, but it was just the biggest, single cave pull I've ever had for my Hype and Sister. So that was the first bit of interesting information with this particular spawn. The second bit of information that was interesting is this is the most hardy spawn I've ever had before. So typically, my Hype and Sister spawn, and I'll pull the fry, and I have my different procedures that I do where I keep a little piece of wood with them, a little piece of almond leaf. I feed them only at a certain amount when they've absorbed their yolk sac, and I try to keep fungused over food out of there. And I have my different little methods that I go through to try to keep as many fry alive as possible. But with most of my Hype and Sister spawns, you lose a couple fry. It's sometimes inevitable. You lose maybe a couple on the first day when you pull the cave. Maybe a couple fry just weren't very viable, or they got injured during the cave pulling process or whatever. And then maybe after they've absorbed their yolk sacs, maybe you lose another couple randomly here or there. It varies. It varies widely in my different batches of fry. Some batches I lose quite a few, and others, like this one's been special. I haven't lost a single fry in this one, and it's weird. I actually gained a fry. Let me explain. When I first pulled the cave and I counted all the little wigglers, I counted 36. And then at that 2-month mark, when I was ready to move them to that Zis Aqua breeding box inside the lowboy aquarium, I just counted again for the heck of it, and I counted 37. And I double-checked it and I triple-checked it. So I must have counted wrong the first time. Like, I know this one didn't come out of thin air, but I was just so astonished when I did the counting at 2 months to see that not only did I not lose any fry, every single fry had survived, and I also had an extra one that I didn't even account for the first time. So, yeah, I just wanted to give you guys an update on these L236 fry in this first batch here. One, to show you their patterns and their colors. I think they're nice. Are they like, the highest high tier of L236 super whites? Probably not, but they're not the lowest tier either. I think they look nice. And if anybody's interested in buying some, I will have these available very soon, so feel free to shoot me an email. I'll put my email in the video description. But yeah, I've been very pleased with this spawn because They eat really well. They're super hardy. I haven't lost a single one. They're starting to color up now, which is nice. And yeah, I just wanted to provide that brief little update on my very first L236 super white spawn. If you guys found this video interesting in any way, hit that like button. And if you're new to my channel and you want to see more aquarium and Pleco content just like this, hit the subscribe button. And as always, thank you for watching.